So Michael, the GTI is finally here. We've been waiting for it. Of course, it goes like a bomb, but it costs a bomb too. Nearly 26 lakhs, so quite expensive, but yet there's a lot of exclusivity and this car is special. So just talk us through the rationale of bringing this car here.
There's nothing like that in the country, a true sports car at that size. And we thought that India really needs that. And there's a lot of stuff that's priceless on that car. There's power, there's thrill, there's adrenaline. And we're sure we're going to find a small number of enthusiasts really loving this car.
So do you think the price will be an issue? Because quite frankly, a lot of people are going to say that for this price I can get something else. Or do you think that people are going to say this is not a price sensitive segment, so to speak, and people are just going to want the car for the performance and the exclusivity?
Exactly, that's what it is. It is about the performance of the car. If you've driven that car and you have driven that car, you start not discussing about the price. You start discussing about what kind of thrill, what kind of smile that puts on your face when you get up in the morning, get out of your house, see that car, and you look forward, even if it's just small stretches, to just feel the power that this toy gives you. And then I don't think that the price is an issue, and there are much more pricier toys in India than this one.
And obviously you're not looking at high volumes, because from what I understand you're looking at maybe just a first batch of about 100 cars to see how it goes. So clearly, is it more about the image? Because I think that's the sense one gets, that you're really not looking at a lot of sale for this, but just generally image.
Definitely. I mean, it is about getting that element of car enthusiasm back into India, and there was nothing like that. So we thought this is the right car, and there are more GTIs in the Volkswagen world, but this is the right GTI for India, and that's why we've brought it.
And what's your sense? I mean, what made you, let's say, go for the GTI? Was there let's say a sense you got with GT TSI owners that there was a good demand for that, let's say a more performance oriented hatchback? I mean, what really prompted you to say, okay, let's go for the GTI? Because it was being planned for quite some time, but then finally you went ahead and did it.
It was obviously not a big discussion. It was crystal clear that if we're going to bring a sports car in, this is the car we needed. Because you said it, there are these GT TSI owners where is a fair share of really enthusiastic drivers. I mean, those people, they are in WhatsApp groups, they're doing drives together, and they're also tuning their cars. So we saw that there is also a practical base for that car, and I think we're going to get more people roped in, certainly at a price tag, but for the first 99 cars, I think we're going to find people loving that car.
Right. So you say first 99. I mean, what is it? Are you going to be looking at some learning after that? Whether the price is an issue, whether there is a, let's say, appetite for it. You might even look at a CKD version of it. I mean, what's the next phase really, or will you just take it as it comes?
It is taking as it comes, because we will look for getting this also as a brand building tool. We'll do things with the owners of these cars, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, there might be more people, then we'll see what comes next time. And as I said, there are more GTIs in the Volkswagen family, so something else might come in 2018 or 2019.
You mean with a GTI badge?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the only other thing with the GTI badge is the Golf GTI. So that's
exactly
something which you are hinting at, which you could be looking at future.
That's something that we are looking at, and there's always a point of time where a Golf makes the inroad into a market. It's never at the very first moment, but there's a point where Golf will make an inroad into the Indian market, and let's see. Maybe it's GTI.
I'm sure Golf is something on your mind in every market for Volkswagen, because a Volkswagen range without a Golf, maybe it's like rice without curry. Do you think sometime it just has to come? I mean, and there's always that little appetite for it.
It depends also a little bit to the development of the market. When are you there that the size of the car is in the mainstream, that the price that you have to command for a bigger car finds enough buyers. I think the market moves, but also there's stuff like the SUVs, which we are paying great attention to at the moment.
Yes.
And that not necessarily speaks for the Golf at its current stage, but let's see what happens.
Right. Well, I mean, it's obvious that we know that the next generation Jetta may not be made in right-hand drive. Could we see a Golf maybe filling that space in a small niche sort of way at that price point, because there will be some sort of gap there?
Possibly. The question for me is rather what comes first, and I personally think that the trend to off-road and crossover
SUVs.
vehicles is a global trend that finally also hits Indian buyers, and that's what we're eyeing at first. And then we'll see what is there in the mid-price segment that we could cater to.
Right.
Globally, of course, we have various opportunities, and the key thing is to get into these segments where people come and say, I'd like to have one of those cars, rather than I need a car and I'll buy one of those.
So that's interesting. So obviously, I think it's been said before, the SUV is what is the next focus, because that is really the hot segment. In fact, a lot of segments are losing out to SUVs. SUVs are grabbing market share from all segments, as it seems. So do you think that's really going to be, that is the main focus right now?
It is the focus for, I think, all car manufacturers at the moment. On the other hand side, you see segments like the traditional hatchback segments being enriched with premium cars, and buyers are going for it as well. So it's not all SUV, but it's nothing without SUVs, and that's where we head our product strategy at the moment.
And just coming back to the Polo GTI, Michael, three doors have never really worked in India, but do you feel that, you know, you've got a very limited volume, so it just kind of part of the exclusivity package that it kind of identifies the Polo from a regular Polo? Was that the rationale behind three doors?
I spoke to a couple of people when we thought about it, and potential buyers, call it that way, and they said, you know, I like GTI, but how am I going to differentiate my car from the normal Polo buyer's car? And that's what actually brought us to the point of the two-door. Because it has a lack of practicality, yes, but on the other hand, it gives a unique outlook of the car, and it fits to the character of a sports car. Much better. There are rarely any Porsches with four doors. Most of them have, true sports cars have two doors.
That's right. But again, I guess Porsche, their main bulk sellers are all four doors. Their volume sellers are four doors, which is Macan and Cayenne to a certain extent. But I get what you're saying. So you're saying the exclusivity is one of the key areas on the reason why you've chosen the three-door.
Exactly.
Coming to Volkswagen, you're launching the GTI at a time when Diwali sales have been pretty good. You've shown some good growth, some good numbers. Is this a trend now you hope to kind of continue? Will we see an upward trajectory? Because really Volkswagen has struggled, in the last couple of years. So are you now a lot more optimistic?
With our new Ameo that's just been launched in its diesel version, we're very optimistic that we can continue to play a growing role in the market. I mean, that's per the plan, that we now get into more segments, and that we can enrich, and that we can also get our dealer network ramped up, so that we get into that growth scenario that we were in the beginning, and we had stalling a little bit in the mid-term.
So can one assume that the Ameo is going to be your main volume driver, because it kind of is a made-for-India product? It's 3-box, is very well priced, good features, and so I mean, is that really, do you think, going to be your main volume driver now? I mean, Ameo is going to be the backbone of your range.
As it is the newest car that we have, of course it's going to be the backbone. But on the other hand side, we see still very good demand for the Polo, in particular in its GT version. And we couldn't even satisfy that demand in the last couple of months. So we see a fair balance, because also the hatchback segment is doing quite well. But of course, Ameo plays the key role in ramping up the volume for us.
And the full size, or let's say the mid-size segment, really, the Vento segment, obviously that isn't showing the kind of growth one expected. You've got strong players like Honda and Maruti, but overall that segment seems to be losing market share to other body styles, perhaps. Maybe sometimes even a premium hatch, certain crossovers, compact SUVs. What's the outlook for the Vento?
what you can see is that there are all of a sudden many more offers in the same price bands, and what we can see on our side is that we find still a solid customer base for people wanting to buy a Vento with a DSG automatic gearbox. This is where our mix is almost 60% now, and this is where you clearly see people buying this car because of the USB of the, let's say, best or one of the best automatic gearboxes in the market. On the other hand, I'm quite curious what's going to happen, because I think there is still room for this type of sedan car, because you know certain people in the corporate sector that would not drive an SUV, and there will be renewals coming into that segment. So I think it's not dead, but it might not play that big role that it played 5-6 years ago.
So going in the future, would this be a segment you may not invest in as much for, let's say, future models, all new models, which you would rather invest in, let's say, in a compact SUV, which you've kind of openly now spoken about?
I guess we gotta strive for the best out of two worlds, because the Vento is a product that has buyers all over the world for us, and even out of India. So it's a strong buyer base also in South America, South Africa. So we're always going to have a Vento, even though the segment might not be dominating as much in India anymore. But of course, the key call is now to get the right SUV car into the Indian market.
Right. And just winding down, Michael, you know, obviously some very hard lessons learned over the years with Volkswagen. Things like service, cost of ownership, perception around it is that, you know, Volkswagens are just pricey to maintain. I mean, what's your kind of, let's say, feedback from customers? Is this an area of concern, and is this the main area one needs to focus on?
Focus is the right word. I will be meeting all my field staff in the afternoon, and we'll have a workshop running that focuses on quality circles in our dealer network. Because customer focus, that is the key thing that provides you with customer satisfaction, is something that we need to deeply embed into the culture of our network, and we're making strong efforts to do that. And this is, of course, something where we currently we are just kind of like cleaning some of the stuff of the past, to be very honest. But I think we've improved substantially. If I see the ratings and the customer feedbacks that we get, is much better now. And I think we got to work on that. That's a silent job that everybody has to do every day to make the customer the focus element of all its doings in the dealerships and in the network.
Michael, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best.
Great, thanks.